Today we're talking about leadership challenges, plain and simple. Today I want to talk about what the role of the leader is. I want to talk about some of the challenges of the leader, the impacts that has on the team or the organization, and how to adjust. So at this moment in time, if you Google leadership challenges, you'll get results of almost 214 million results. So I would dare to say that most of us have challenges when we're in the leadership role. Well, let's look at what a leader does. So a leader leads a group of people towards achieving a common goal. Well, how do they do that? Well, they motivate, they inspire, encourage, support, and even guide. Well, some of the challenges of the leaders can look like this. Leadership versus management. You probably see the debate all the time, and people try to pit leadership versus management, like one is bad and the other one is good. But what happens is sometimes people get those two confused, or maybe they use one without the other. I would submit, in my experience, it takes both leadership and management. There's also, at times, a lack of development. We've all been in the scenario where maybe we were promoted to a leadership role, maybe we weren't ready for, or maybe we leaped to take that role when maybe we thought we could help. But sometimes there's a lack of training or experience for leadership. There are some specific skills that need to be, that are required, and experience helps as well. And then sometimes there's just the lack of support, maybe lack of having a mentor, an advisor, or even any kind of support system you can go to for advice, and even peer groups. Some of my most valuable expertise and tips have come from my peers, and we get together and we toss around ideas of things we've tried that worked and things to be aware of that didn't work. Also, a challenge can be a challenging environment where maybe there's a rigid chain of command that you have to follow, or even one where there's the blame game, where the leader gets blamed for everything. And it becomes like Pavlov's dog, where maybe someone is afraid to try anything because it yielded ill results. There's also personal limitations. Sometimes we find ourselves maybe having the lack of training or experience, so there's that fear of failure. So sometimes we can become paralyzed. And then there can just be a lack of confidence, maybe without enough experience. So let's look at some of the impacts that all of this can have on the team or the organization. In these scenarios, one can micromanage people within the organization or the team. They can also fail to support the team. Also, sometimes where there are critical decisions to be made, they're just unable to make decisions. Also, avoiding hard conversations. Sometimes when you're the leader of a team or a group, there are difficult or discussions or conversations that have to be made, and so just avoiding those. Also, being defensive for feedback. Many times people, when we're in that scenario, people want to give us advice or, constructive criticism on how we can improve, or maybe give us some feedback on how our actions are impacting others. But sometimes people get defensive with that. So how can we adjust to all of this or this situation? Well, first of all, by clarifying or adjusting the role. Sometimes if you clarify, what your span of control is over a group, or if you just don't feel like you have the training or experience, then you can adjust the role to something that's more comfortable. Also, embrace feedback. That's one of the biggest gifts people can give us, is feedback. So just be open to embrace it and take it back and study and really look at where could they be right and how could you improve something that you're doing. Also, know what value you bring to the table. By knowing your skills, your strengths, your expertise, that lends a set of confidence even in itself, by knowing that you do bring value. Also, create a development plan. All of us are probably always working on trying to help develop ourselves. So look at where your strengths are and how to keep improving those, and maybe find some areas where you have gaps or weaknesses where you want to improve. And make a literal plan, setting goals, ways to give yourself some training, give yourself some experience to develop. Also, role playing. I found this very helpful in situations I find myself in. I find a colleague or a peer or mentor, someone that I can role play. And so I can see how the scenarios work out. Also, set a vision for your group. By having a common vision for your group, then everyone knows where you're going. It's very discerning to a lot of people if you're the leader and they don't really know where you're going. So by setting a common vision for the group and letting them know that they have a role there and why they're so important. And then delegate. Sometimes as a leader, you do need to delegate certain things off your plate to someone who is more equipped to do that or in a better position. So if you need a tool or resources that can help you in your leadership role and try to avoid or mitigate some of the leadership challenges, then visit our website at projectmanager.com.